Hey guys, it's Lynk Plays Games. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to our life. I need to find a way to make me taller. I might need to sit on a couple of phone books or something. Get a booster seat for my work chair. Oh, that's kind of sad if you think about it. But we are going to get into it. We just did shopping. Now we're going to do grown up. Not sure what that means. I can't remember. But one sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. Parents just leaving us? They just fend for yourself, kids. You got this. You're fine. If you get hurt, rub some dirt in it. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to your mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly, light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Sorry if my computer might be too loud. This is actually supposed to be a very quiet computer. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways. They're always inside telling everybody what to do.
Why?
I said why. It'll be fun, duh. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove. What do you want to do? I kind of agree with Cove. That don't sound fun. Pretend to be adults. I bet we could come up with something else. I don't know. I bet we could come up with something else. But that's what I'm gonna do, and it's not as fun as when I play pretend adults by myself. Do you do that a lot? What's it to you? Looking at Lizzie, it seemed Cove felt like he could understand where she was coming from, and he sighed. Do you really not want to play, Link? It was clear he wanted some way out, but he still felt guilty about it. I'll try, but that sounds boring. Okay, I'll stay. I'll try, but that sounds boring. It's not going to be, I guarantee. Lizzie seemed more determined than ever, and you could only sigh. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you. Okay, I'm going to be a professional golfer. Link, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults? Yep. But there's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Link? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? I like volleyball player. But I also like haiku, so that might be why. Is there anything else we could be? Lizzie stomped her foot on the ground. Nope, come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities. Beach volleyball, gymnast, or tennis. Out of all of them, you preferred to play beach volleyball. If you couldn't spend the afternoon at the beach for real, you might as well pretend you were there. You could even wear your swimsuit to make it more realistic. Although Lizzie probably wouldn't let you run off and do that now that she had you there. Yes, that was clearly the top option. I'll be a volleyball player. Alright, what about you, Cove? I'll have a volleyball team too. Lizzie threw her hands in the air, making an annoyed sound. You guys can't be the same thing. That's not how it works. You didn't say that. The rule was picking from the list. You can't keep adding more. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to losing this battle, but not the war. Fine, you're both volleyball players, but you're on the same team because there's only one. Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. The Olympic team. What? We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted his glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun. Anyway. Lizzie marched back and forth in front of the both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all gold medals and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's that? Exactly, who is that? I don't know. Do you know? Anyways, Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned to him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is, it's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Your team placed at silver. It's more real if we're not all in first place. What? We're playing pretend and not get silver? What the hell? Lizzie. Sounds like my little sister, honestly. I think I've said this before. Lizzie reminds me of my little sister. I think we could do better than silver. Silver's not bad. Nice. I'll go with it. Maybe Cove will listen. And there won't be no fussing. It may not be first place, but you knew the silver medals were still really good. But it isn't gold.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way, it wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live as an adult appealed him. Apparently, because he looked back at Lizzie with some anger fading. I'm gonna live on the beach. Lizzie made a face, poking her tongue out. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like a normal house here with a street on it, right on the sand by the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you'd want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? That's a fair point. Why didn't she just tell us, like, who we're gonna be, how we're gonna be, what we can and cannot have, and what we will and will not have? I mean, it was just like how my little sister used to play school a lot when we were younger, and she'd get so mad at me. I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here, far away from you, with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Damn, Cove. Damn. Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her sides. It's not impossible, it's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought, being on the beach was cooler, you wanted to agree with Lizzie, you preferred mansion, Cove was right. You were tired of deciding between either of them. I mean, yeah, kind of Switzerland. I have my own ideas of where I want to be. I want to be in the mountains. Little cabin. Little cute cottagecore cabin in the mountains. Sounds about nice. Or on like a really nice, like, big property with a house. That sounds nice. But I'm gonna go with Cove, because Cove is my friend, and Lizzie sucks and reminds me of my little sister. Whose idea is good? You shouldn't say yours is the only right one. No one asked for your opinion. He smiled slightly over the agreement, then turned to Lizzie with bolstered confidence. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. You could still swim anytime we want where we live now. Being a little closer don't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. I don't get what you want. The game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. Pretty valid. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working up each other as long as they could. Nothing you said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed over to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking her tongue out at Cove. Lizzie, Lynk, it's time to get ready to go. Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself.
Bye.
Oh, he's so mad. There was a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and walked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight. Okay. Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. Were you two playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? I'm telling the truth, 'cause Lizzie's a little turd muffin. We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both hands on her hips. I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up and replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was... No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Alright, we better get a move on. Let's go, kids. Nalani, where did you leave the car keys? I love the name Nalani. So, fun fact, now I know where I've thought of that name from. Fun fact, I actually had a dream one time that I was like in this really pretty house. And it had, no wonder why I had this dream, because it had the, like big windows like that. And there was this cute little girl in a high chair, like a baby. And she had these, like the darkest hair and these bright green eyes. Not my blue eyes, green eyes. And I just knew her name was Nalani Lynn. And I hope that's my future one day. As much as I don't want kids, I would just love to be able to be like, I literally have dreamt of this kid. But yeah, my thing is, if it happens, it happens. I'm not looking to have a kid. I'm not planning on having a kid. But if it happens, Nalani Lynn's gonna be her name. Where'd you leave the car keys? Sorry for that tangent, guys. Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space. Mommy asked you what you would like to listen to. I could be selfish and pick my favorite song. Or I could choose a soundtrack to a cool movie. Or I could be nice to my sister. I'm always too nice to my sister. She'll tell you otherwise. Don't listen to her. She's a liar. I used to always make choices for her. You were happy to see it brighten her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. Wish my sister, went like that. My sister was mad, she stayed mad. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day. You stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping beyond the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant that you'd all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. Why are we doing this all for Lizzie? Just because she had an attitude. Again, sounds like my little sister. Oh, this is why I don't like Lizzie. Just her character reminds me of my little sister in the worst ways. Like, not saying my sister's bad or nothing. She's just always on that last nerve. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew it was coming when you all got back home. Clearly she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street and then reversing into the driveway. Once she cuts the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. 'Cause she knows she's an asshole. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips. Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? Oh, actual name. She's in trouble still. You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight, her head tucked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes, but she nodded once. Good, let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the home phone, and the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. And I didn't regret it. But it was her fault for doing it in the first place. I mean, literally. Didn't like doing it, but had to. Felt a little guilty. I didn't regret it. Not one bit. She's an asshole. You frowned to yourself, recalling how Cove had left in such a bad way. Hopefully, time and Lizzie's pending apology would raise his spirits. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie plays games. What a surprise. But of course you could say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Nolani, Lynk, and I are here too. Good evening. Sorry to bother you so late. Gonna say hi too, 'cause I love Cliff. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today, and we're hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove? I just realized I'm in Mr. Holden's face. Hello. Let me get on down here. There we go. Alright, is this a good time? A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was a bit shuffling on the other end. He must have not gone far because you could still hear him calling out. There's someone on the phone for you. Cove's probably thinking it's me. Aw, poor Cove. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you.
Are you sure?
Link's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? Exactly. It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Blah, can't speak. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove, okay, you kind of deserve it a little bit now, because you're being rude. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. I want gold, and I think Lynk should win too. Really, he thought you were worth gold, even though you hadn't even wanted it. Lizzie was momentarily stunned silent by the demand. She probably forgot that even happened already. Alright, we all win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wonder if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? So socially awkward. I love him. You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Lynk. Oh, did you see that smile change? Did you see that? I saw that. You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled even though he couldn't see it. Bye, Cove. Anyways, with that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of all of it. Lizzie and Cove might not get along. Probably still won't. But they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal, and with that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. Alright, so I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. If you are watching this as a series, as I'm trying to record this as somewhat of a series, I'm trying to record at least 2 or 3 in a row. But make sure you do some stretching, grab you some water, hydrate before you dehydrate, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.